Hello, welcome to Music City Online. I'm Gary Earl. For those of you who are used to seeing me without the goatee, I'm getting ready for Halloween. This was last year's Halloween, going as Walter White from Breaking Bad and going down to the music clubs in Nashville and handing out 99.9% pure blue rock candy. So what I'd like you to do tonight, since this is our first broadcast, I'd like you to send in, if you will, either by emailing me or tweeting me on my Twitter feed. And let me know if you would prefer Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, and if 7 o'clock's a good time or not. Any suggestions you might have for guests that you would like me to have on. We've already got some publishers lined up to list music of yours, some music supervisors that pitch to TV and film, some record label people, some well-known songwriters, etc., for future shows. Tonight, I'll be the only one here, though, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes about things that I believe might help you get more cuts and placements. Some things that have changed the last few years in songwriting, mostly due to all the new technology. Things have changed a lot because of iPods, iPads, phones. The way we listen to music is different than it used to be. For example, one of the most important things today is shorter intros. The people who run and analyze Spotify, iTunes, radio, all of these services to tell us that you have about 5 to 7 seconds to grab a listener's attention and to hold it. It used to be we were listening on our car radios and all the intros were 13 to 16 seconds. That gave the DJ time to intro the song or say a few witty words for the early morning drive time. And today it's different because if the listener doesn't hear something like in 5 to 7 seconds, they hit the next button, on to the next song. So that means shorter intros. It means more ear candy on the intros. You can't just have your players repeating the same old intros over and over. This means that you have to grab someone's attention much quicker. You need shorter intros. You may only want to use one verse up front instead of 2 verses before you hit the chorus. It's good to get to the chorus within 45 to 60 seconds max. It's even appropriate sometimes to start with the chorus. Make sure you have short turnarounds and no solos, unless it's a song with you as an artist and you're pitching to TV and film, then the solos are okay. Pitching to labels or publishers for artists, no guitar solos, especially not when you're pitching Nashville, because you have to realize that even if you or one of your musicians is the hottest guitar player in your neck of the woods, in all due honesty, the person that's listening to your demo in A&R probably even plays better. And you can't throw a rock without hitting a really good guitar player here in Nashville. So keep that in mind, very important. I want to give you a good example of how important intros are. There's a song that I pitched to a couple of music supervisors 3 or 4 years ago, sort of a Scooby-Doo style song. I'll play you what I sent in, just a short part of it first.
Counting time until the moment I'm with you. You're on my mind with every every little thing I do.
Okay, but not too exciting. They both said, that's okay, that's pretty cool, which I knew immediately meant that they didn't even listen all the way through. Then a group called It was called You and I, and they opened with a breakdown chorus. So I'll play you the editing that I did on my song, and starting with the breakdown chorus. Now listen to the difference it made.
I'm always up when you're around. You make me fly, I never come down, and that's a good thing. Friends say that I spend too much time with you. I say that they don't have a clue. There's never enough of a good thing.
And then we break to a short turnaround. The music supervisor emailed back and said, that's great, I want to pitch it. Like a big difference right away. I got right to the catchiest part of the song and I hooked them right away. So that's a very important thing. Now, also another change that's been happening are song length and time on the charts. So songs are getting longer. Not all that long ago, songs were only 2 minutes, 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And now most of the songs are like 3:20, 3:30, approaching 4 minutes. Part of the reason for doing that has to do with more and more of the money, income for writers is coming from either the internet or film and TV. And in both those scenarios, royalties are paid differently than they are the radio. On the radio, you get paid a set amount of money each time your song is played, regardless of whether your song's 2 minutes, 30 seconds, or 4 minutes. On the internet, you get paid by the hour. So if you have a 4-minute song that plays in that hour, someone else has a 2-minute song, your 4-minute song gets twice as much money. Since songs are also staying on the charts longer, then that's another reason, along with being longer in length, why you want more chord changes in general. You want more dynamic range, which today, instead of getting super soft and super loud, we tend to put in dynamic range by break down fewer instruments, pull out part of the instruments, put them all back in. Everything is squashed and loud all the time anyway. As far as chord changes goes, it wasn't all that long ago when in country music you could have hit songs with 3 chords. Not too many hit songs with 3 chords these days. That's changed considerably. Now, getting back to that ear candy up front and grabbing the attention sooner, I want to play something from a song that I'm working on currently. It opens up with a bit of a breakdown, muted drums. You've all heard it. Very in thing to do, especially in country music at the moment. I'm going to play the whole intro for you. And by the way, this is written by a very talented writer from Amarillo, Texas, Gary Legrone, and a terrific writer. And I'm not going to play any of the lyrics or the singing to give away a great song, but I want to show you something I'm doing on the intro to put a little extra ear candy in the beginning. And then later we'll kick in the full drums. Let's take a look at those little muted drums in the beginning. Listen to them here. It's a bit of a hip-hop beat. Not only that, listen to the hi-hat sounds. Sounds bizarre, right? But in the context of the breakdown opening, along with banjo, fiddle, everything else, you don't notice anything weird or unusual. You just notice that it's cool, it's a little extra ear candy, it's something different, it's unusual. Little things can make a big difference in catching the ear of A&R and holding it, or music supers. Also in the song, before we hit into the big drums, we have some extra ear candy that I'll show you. Something that in the past you would have only heard in a dance song. And even there's a little bit of a rush right before the first note too. Like just like tape, old-fashioned tape starting to roll up with sound. And these sounds are subtle enough that they're not overt and they don't smack you in the face like they would in a dance song, but they're ear candy that grabs the listener and pulls them, invites them in, and tells them that there's going to be a lot more cool stuff coming later on. So keep that in mind. And in terms of inviting the listener in, I'm reminded of when I was young, I interned with a couple of fairly famous brill building writers, a couple of guys that had many huge cuts. They had Oscars, they had Grammys. They would get their ASCAP statement and be 4 pages long. And the first time that I showed Joel one of my songs, I said, "Would you listen to this? It's supposed to touch your heart." And Joel said, "Touch my heart?" He said, "Are you kidding?" He said, "I'm not interested in a song that touches my heart. I want a song that's going to just reach right at my chest cavity and yank my heart out, throw it on the ground, and stomp it into a million pieces." Good point. Same thing with your demos. Same thing with your writing. You need to do something that's going to grab their attention fast and keep it and hold it. Okay? So I've got a couple of questions, looks like, that have been emailed in. How much can an artist expect to make when their song is featured in a TV or film? Not an easy answer for that one. It's all over the map. It can go anywhere from, let's say, if you get a song in an indie film or in a TV show that's playing at 2 in the morning on a network, that's around 170 on your cable network, that may pay as low as $500, may pay $1,000. If you get something on primetime major network or HBO, and especially if it's feature performance, may pay $5,000, may pay $10,000. If you get something in a major movie, and if you get a major artist singing it, then the sky's the limit, because the syncs up for front, even before all the royalties and things come in, maybe 20 to 25,000, and then you've got a good chance of it being a hit on the radio too. So the music depends on whether it's used as background or as a featured song or a featured performance, which means that someone is performing the song on, on the show, or at least lip syncing to it, or someone maybe dancing to it. That would be a featured performance also. Those pay considerably more than just a background cue. Background cue would be if you're walking, excuse me, into a honky tonk and there's a jukebox playing. That would be background. The length of time that they use the song makes a huge difference too. Obviously, the longer it's used, the more money that you're going to make for it. You get paid with TVs and films with a sync up front, and that's giving the sync money as cash up front, giving them the right to use your song in the TV show or film. And there's also a sync for the recording with a signed artist typically that'll be 2 different fees. With an independent songwriter, like most of us are most of the time, there'll be 1 fee for both of those inclusive if you're doing your own masters. So the sync fee comes up front, and then as it's played, 9 months later, you'll start getting royalties from ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, your performing rights organization. What demo gets you in the door, excuse me, and keeps you in the door? That's part of what we were just talking about a minute ago. You've got to, with the grabbing someone's attention with ear candy and a short intro, that sort of thing. Also, the track and the groove tend to be much more important today than they used to be, especially in country music. In pop music, it's always been very, very important. In country music, 20 years ago, they used to say the lyrics were 80% and the music was 20% of whether a song got cut or not. Today, you could probably safely say just the opposite, that the music and the groove and the performance are about 80% of it getting cut, and the lyrics are about 20%. And this is not to say that you don't have to have appropriate lyrics too, of course. In Tahiti film, though, the lyrics need to be emotion-based with very little imagery detail, and best if there's not a long evolving storyline. It used to be in country that you wanted an evolving storyline and a lot of detailed imagery, but even country today isn't so much that way. Go check out on iTunes, hold down country, listen to top to hand at any given moment. You're going to find most of them are very pop, especially in terms of lyrics and production. They're more emotion-based love songs or power empowerment type songs, which actually brings up a couple of other things in terms of, songwriting and demos that get you in the door and keep the door open. Quick few things I'll hit on with melody is syncopation is very important today, much more so than it used to be. In the 90s, there were a lot of nice melodies, beautiful melodies, sing-song type melodies. Today's syncopation with the track and the groove is much more important. Getting fresh rhythms in your melody, don't just be hitting on the quarter notes and eighth notes, but syncopation and rhythmic singing. Smaller range is also important. In the 90s, there were a lot of big ballads that spanned an octave and a half. Today, most of the hits tend to have a 1 octave range. And in pop music, that's usually between A below middle C to A above middle C. Both for guys and girls, it's about the same range. Country music, the guys will have a slightly lower range, of course, but you're still looking at more 1 octave at a time. You want your melodies to be easy to remember and sing. You want them to hold up even without the lyric. So if you sing the melody, it's pleasing even without the lyric. You should typically know when you're hitting the chorus, even without hearing the lyric. That being said, that's not always true in dance music. As far as the lyrics, it's a good idea to use a lot of short, catchy phrases. They need to be singable, nothing too poetic or too prose. It needs to be more conversational, street talk that's easy to sing. They need to be written to the melody, obviously. Of course, there's a lot more nonsense syllables, a lot more like na 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 na. And this is important not only for movies and TV, but as it goes behind dialogue well, it's also good for commercials. This is a good example of a song that we produced for great writer John in New Jersey not long ago. This is a good example of what I'm talking about there. that opens up, then it also plays after each chorus. And commercials and TV and film love a lot of that kind of stuff today. And I'm just seeing more and more of it in country music too, even. It's great because traditionally girls know the lyrics to all the songs, but a lot of guys only know the hook, but everybody can sing along to nonsense syllables. So something to keep in mind there. Another question in, how do I make my MIDI drums sound real? Good question. In all due honesty, the best way to sound real is to actually play them, even if you're playing them on a keyboard and using software samples rather than a Roland V MIDI drum set or real drum set. It's good if you can play them. The more you can play them, and when you do play them, don't quantize them rigidly unless it's dance music. Dance, of course, you want to be pretty much, flat on. But everything else, DAWs like Logic and most DAWs that I'm aware of allow you to quantize at a percentage rather than 100%. So depending on how well you play, maybe quantize 50%, so it leaves, some behind, some ahead, a little bit off. It's very important that it breathe. A very important part. And ultimately, it's really important just to have good musicianship on your demos. If you can't play drums very well, then get someone who can. It's fairly important. You can also use loops, but be creative in your use of loops, so that they don't get rigid and too obvious what's going on. That makes sense. Remember, email or tweet me and let me know your suggestions for classes that you'd like to have and guests to have. One of the upcoming classes, I'm going to cover music production libraries. A lot of people have a lot of questions about which libraries are the best ones to get into, how do the deals work, how much money can you make, how do music production libraries work. I also have a lot of good information about business parts of music business on our website at GaryEarl.com, GaryEarl.com. And if you go under resources, there's about a dozen pages that cover a lot of things like libraries, publishing, that sort of thing. Bye till next time.